It's taken me a while to gather my thoughts, and after a few rewatches of the series, I feel like I'm ready to dive into this topic. Steve, the love of Miranda's life. But was it meant to be? I couldn't help but wonder, was Steve good for Miranda? Hello there and welcome to my channel where I analyze and talk about TV shows that I like. Around here, the curtain is blue for a reason. There's always a reason. Let's discuss. As you can see on my channel, I have a lot of thoughts about Big and Carrie's relationship, but I haven't made any videos about Miranda and Steve. It's not that I don't have many thoughts, it's that I have too many thoughts. I try to script it out, it becomes way too cluttered and messy, I scrap it. Their relationship needs to be broken up into a few different ideas, a few different theories. One could consider Steve a horrible boyfriend or husband, but maybe a great father, or a fantastic friend, or a lovely co-parent. But this video is going to cover if Steve was good for Miranda. Should they have been endgame? Should Miranda have married Steve? And just to put it out there, Dr. Robert isn't the answer for me, as I feel that he was a victim to abysmal bad writing, as explained in this video. Dr. Robert and Miranda were never going to work out. He was just there to pave the way for Steve and Miranda to finally get back together, get married, and live happily ever after. Or so we thought. But let's start at the beginning, because I have had an issue with Steve since day one. Season 2, episode 10, the caste system, the girls all talk about dating someone outside of their class. Carrie makes significantly less money than Big, and it's a major topic of discussion. But the roles are reversed with Miranda and Steve. Now, I know it's the 90s and I can't apply my 2026 mentality to this era, except I'm going to anyways. That's what Miranda did. That's what Carrie and Samantha did. It's normal for the guy to make more money. Oh, come on. I know lots of women who make more money than their husbands. You're all missing my point. None of this matters to me. I just don't want it to matter to him. This is something that Miranda struggles with throughout the series. Men being intimidated that she makes so much money and is successful. Realtors being weirded out that she's able to buy her own apartment and pays for it herself, not from gift money from her dad. We see this time and time again throughout the series. So it is really heartbreaking seeing this exact issue come up between Steve and Miranda. To have a character's biggest struggle be thrown in their face like this. And at this point, Steve and Miranda have been dating for a few weeks and they have been getting along really well. Miranda has an office party that she invites Steve to, but he needs a new suit because the golden corduroy one that he has hanging in his closet just won't do. So obviously Miranda wants Steve to look nice and put together because she's going to be introducing him to the people that she spends 60 to 70 hours a week working with. She's also trying to make partner in the firm, so a socializing event at work is a big deal. Of course she wants him to look good. Yes, that means coughing up $1,800 for a suit, but Miranda is more than willing to pay that price. I absolutely understand Steve feeling emasculated or embarrassed because he can't afford the suit, and he has to whip out multiple credit cards right in front of the employees. I get it, I'm not faulting him for that. This is an uncomfortable situation. And if this would have escalated to a fight or an argument, fine, no problem, I get it. But it ends up with Steve dumping her an hour before the party, after she probably already told people in her office that she was bringing someone. So then she just shows up alone? Why are you dressed like that? I returned the suit. Frankly, I couldn't afford it. So why didn't you let me pay for it? Miranda, you need to be with a guy that's more on your level. Being in that store with you, I didn't feel good about myself. Look, I think you're an incredible lady. There's always going to be things out of my reach. So I'm being punished for being successful? Got it. Well, thanks for the info and for standing me up. It's been nice knowing you. How hurtful is that? This already rubbed me the wrong way about Steve. The trope of, I'm not good enough for you, so let me go ahead and ruin your evening and embarrass you in front of your colleagues doesn't sit well with me. If you're really not good enough, maybe you should, I don't know, try? be a good boyfriend in other ways. I'm not a fan of this trope. Season 2, episode 18, Miranda sees Steve on the street, runs away, and he confronts her, and to his credit, he's pleasant and communicative about it. They end up sleeping together later in the episode, and then for the next few episodes, they're hanging out, they're kind of dating, not really. Miranda is adamant that they're not exclusive or anything, but in season 3, episode 2, Steve says, "I'm not dating anyone else. I don't plan on dating anyone else. I just want to see you, exclusively." That's very sweet. I just hadn't thought about things that way. Well, think about it, because I've thought about it. I think if we really want to see if things can work out between us this time, we gotta at least make the commitment to be exclusive. Sorry, did I miss a couple of episodes? No? Miranda's still a lawyer making like 4 times as much as he is, right? Are we supposed to believe that between season 2 episode 10 and season 3 episode 2, Steve has magically lost all insecurity about money and being good enough for Miranda, and then he just never says anything about it to her, never apologizes for standing her up at that office party? There's just no mention of it. I'm not looking for a quick answer on the monogamy thing. It'll probably just be something that happens on its own. You're the best woman I've ever met. I just want you to know that. I love you, Miranda. I really do. Okay, that's sweet and all, but doesn't this just seem like he could feel that Miranda wasn't willing to commit to him and he got scared of losing her again, so he poured his feelings out? Where's that apology for dumping her before? I guess it's easy for him to forget about his insecurities now that he realizes how much of a fool he was before. Earlier in the episode, Carrie suggests that Miranda pull out the list, something she's apparently done before. Isn't that judgmental? Sweetie, you are judgmental. Put it to good use. Miranda notes a few things that are pros and a few things that are cons about Steve. Let's pull up a major pro and con list that Miranda wrote about Steve later in the series, in the first movie, actually. We'll go over the entire list later on in this video, but let's look at something in particular right now. Under the pro list, Miranda has not threatened by my job. Okay, so you know what? I will slightly concede in this regard. Somewhere down the line, Steve improves in this regard and isn't insecure about how much more money Miranda makes compared to him. But it's still not enough to make me budge towards Steve. At the time of writing this list, Miranda and Steve are married. Yeah, I sure hope you're okay with your wife making more money than you, especially since it's only her name on the mortgage, which is revealed in And Just Like That in this episode. Let's put aside the money/insecurity thing for just a second, because another issue I have with Steve comes right up, exactly 2 episodes later. By the way, each season in the show is about 1 year, so 6 seasons, 6 years. 2 episodes is just a few weeks. Season 3, episode 4, Steve's hanging around a lot in Miranda's apartment. He's leaving clothes there. Miranda feels as though he's always at her apartment. What are you doing here? Oh, I still have your key from when I fed your cat that one time. Oh. Hey, you're on my side. Tomorrow, I'll buy us some paint and I'll draw a line right down the middle for you. Go to sleep. That pile? Your stuff? You have to keep it neater. Well, maybe if you spared a drawer or a box or something, I could keep my underwear in there. You want a drawer? Actually, I'd like to move in. Wow, okay, where did that come from? What? We have a great time together. We're practically living together anyway. But doesn't it feel like they're practically living together because he keeps using a key he was lent once to feed her cat? And of course it feels like he's living there because he's there so frequently and he's leaving his stuff there. Yeah, but we're not. Look, we just started dating again. There's no need to go at warp speed here. I mean, you're here all the time. No problem. I'll get out of your hair. I'll leave the key, he says as he gets dressed. No, take the key. I just need space. I feel like I'm suffocating. Jesus, Miranda, it's like you're the guy sometimes. Steve storms off. And here it is. Childish, immature behavior when he doesn't get what he wants. This is going to keep coming up. This is my biggest issue with Steve. This is why I think Steve was one of the worst things to ever happen to Miranda, changing the complete trajectory of her life. Now, am I saying he's some evil, horrible human being? No, he treated Miranda with kindness and compassion and saw the sensitivity and vulnerability in her. when he wanted to. But it's moments like this where he says things that are so manipulative and toxic, it makes Big look good. It's like you're the guy sometimes. Miranda has struggled with being a powerful woman in a male-dominated field in the 90s. She knows her success intimidates people, especially Steve. They already broke up once before because of this, because Steve felt like he wasn't the guy in their relationship, because she made more money than him, and now he's pulling that card on her? And let's go back to what Miranda said. Was she really cold and insensitive? Did she really say something nasty and hurtful in this conversation? We're practically living together anyway. Yeah, but we're not. I need space. I feel suffocated. You're here all the time. Was that really so wrong? So hurtful? Is that anything compared to it's like you're the guy sometimes? This is her apartment, her home. She never gave Steve a key to the apartment in the same way that Carrie gave Aiden a key to her apartment. It seemed like a one-time favor because she couldn't feed her cat. Throughout their relationship, Steve attempts to get closer to Miranda rapidly, too fast for Miranda, and she puts a foot down and says, no, it's too soon. Steve proceeds to have a meltdown. He's over the top. He storms out. He gets loud. He gets snippy. He says something really mean that cuts really deep. And if Steve doesn't get his way, Miranda will hear about it. And what pisses me off the most is that Steve usually gets his way. I've never lived with anybody before. I really don't know if I can move forward, but I really don't want to lose you. Carrie's narration states, a week later, Miranda's man moved in. Oh, okay, great. So even though her reasons are completely valid, she's never lived with anybody before, and Steve and Miranda just started dating again, a week later, he's moved in. I feel like it's because Miranda was just so terrified of losing Steve. She gave in, even though she wasn't ready. But hey, let's go back to that whole Steve has a meltdown and blows up on Miranda when he doesn't get what he wants. Because guess what happens in the very next episode after she already gave in and let him move in? Alright, time to go shoot hoops. Oh, right, I can't. I got behind on this file. Miranda's job, her income, comes up once again. Oh, no you don't. Let's go. Come on, you promised. They messaged this over late. It has to be ready first thing Monday. I don't have time to go watch you shoot hoops. I ask you to do one thing, one time for me, and you can't do it? What the fuck is that? What the fuck is with this attitude? You know how many law things I've been to? You know, her job, her income. By the way, Steve is screaming at this point, but my husband is asleep right next to me as I type out this script, and I'm not gonna scream into the mic, but you get the gist. Imagine Steve screaming. Why are you getting so upset? It's just a stupid half-court shot. Not to me, it's not. Throws the basketball across the apartment. Why do you always have to be so pessimistic? We can't move in together. If this is ever gonna work, I need you to believe in me. And there it is, the deep cuts. Miranda knows she's judgmental. She knows she's cynical. She considers it some of her worst traits. She's convinced she's going to end up dying alone because of this, that she's going to scare everyone away because she's so intimidating to other people. He throws these traits back in her face, throws the fact that she was scared and nervous about moving in together back in her face. I'm also not a fan of a romantic partner throwing shit around during an argument and yelling, sorry, not sorry. It was toxic when Carrie threw that fillet of fish at the wall. It was toxic when Maria threw plates on the floor. And it's toxic to have Steve throwing a basketball out of anger across her apartment. Miranda gives in and watches Steve shoot some hoops. Screw that case. Screw that work. Oh well. Okay guys, season 3 episode 8. 4 episodes have passed since they moved in together. Let's see what Steve will propose this time. I sure hope Miranda doesn't say no, because then they'll have an argument. That's a healthy relationship dynamic, right? We should do it. We should have a baby. Yeah, right. No, I'm serious. We'd have a really cute baby. We wouldn't have to get married. Has Miranda ever said that she didn't want to get married? Miranda mentions one day getting married a few times before meeting Steve, but season 2, episode 7, The Chicken Dance, elaborates even more on how much she does want to get married one day. Her long-distance friend, Jeremy, crashes at her apartment. Carrie's narration starts off this scene. The next night when Jeremy arrived, he was even more adorable than Miranda remembered, especially when he said, "I'm tired of dating. I'm ready to get married. Cue a huge smile from Miranda. Jeremy gets introduced to Miranda's interior designer and falls madly in love with her, proposing to her in just 4 weeks. Everyone says as soon as you get a place of your own, someone will propose. I thought it would be to me. Is she against marriage? What would compel Steve to say we wouldn't have to get married? That's something you say to your partner when you know they're against marriage. Imagine Carrie saying it to Big. Hey, we could buy a house together and put both of our names on the mortgage. We wouldn't have to get married or anything. See, that makes sense contextually because we all know that Big is against marriage. But Miranda isn't. Miranda has talked about getting married like all the time. You're serious? Yeah, I'm serious. The timing's perfect. The timing is not perfect. We've only been living together for 2 months? And this is after they just got back together, mind you. It's way too quick and I'm up for partner at the firm. We cannot have a baby. You're insane. Come on, I want a baby. It'd be fun. Do you have any idea how much work a baby is? Yeah, I know, but I could hang out with him during the day and then work the bar at night. And then I'd be up with him all night alone, get no sleep, and then have to go to work the next day and work the 14 hours I need to work to get partner at the firm and to be able to afford the apartment you're watching all the Sesame Street in. Let's hope the baby inherits my positive attitude. Jesus Christ. And there it is again. Miranda's quote-unquote pessimism is thrown in her face again. But let's be serious, it's not her pessimism, it's just realism. We know it's realistic because we see this happening later down the line. Her and Steve separate, she has Brady, and guess what? She's exhausted all the time. She's working crazy hours. Brady keeps her up at night. The only reason why Steve isn't throwing a basketball in the middle of this Chinese restaurant is because he's in public, and he doesn't want to scare off that baby that's sitting 2 feet away from them. According to the formula of Steve and Miranda's relationship thus far, Steve wants to move to the next step, except it's a step he's invented and only he wants, and he pushes and pushes. Miranda says no, he has a meltdown, Miranda gives in. But this time it's different. She really puts her foot down and says no, enough's enough. Shelve the baby conversation for a while, she says. Then he grabs a puppy. I'm not sure which wise sage said it first, but someone online once said, men want babies like how children want puppies. And what do they get? A puppy. Mind you, Miranda is a cat person and has a cat already, but there's no compromise with the baby situation. You either have a baby or you don't. Steve decides that Miranda putting her foot down wasn't good enough, and Scout joins the picture. They break up at the end of the episode after an argument is set off with Scout whining and waking up Miranda at 3 a.m. As a quick side note, I do want to clarify that I do not believe Steve, in any way, shape, or form, pressured Miranda into keeping Brady. He wasn't even aware of Miranda being pregnant in the first place until she made the decision to keep Brady. Then she told him she's pregnant. So I do want to put that out there that although I really don't like Steve, he had nothing to do with that decision. It was purely Miranda's choice. So we have this pattern between them, this formula. The dynamic completely changes when Miranda is pregnant with Brady though. She's hell-bent on being a single mother if she has to, and Steve is on his best behavior because he knows if he messes around too much, she'll just cut him out and then he won't be able to see her or his son. We don't see much of Steve during the pregnancy, and when we do, he's helping out. No big deal. But then Brady is born, both of them start dating other people, and we wind up at the last season of the show. Steve is with Debbie, and Miranda is with Dr. Robert. Season 6, episode 12, Miranda confesses that she loves Steve, and Steve loves her back. But what about Debbie? When we talk about Big, it's really easy to see how bad of a guy he is, because we can see how he treated Natasha, how easily he disposes of her for Carrie. We can see the same thing with Steve and Debbie. Steve has been dating Debbie way longer than Miranda was dating Dr. Robert. Debbie's grabbing a beer, she's calling Steve's mom Ma, they're joking around, they're having fun. Debbie even spends time with Brady, calls him Bradylicious and everything. Carrie's narration says, 3 weeks later, Miranda and Steve got their wish. They were back together. Dr. Robert didn't live with Miranda, so why didn't they get back together ASAP after confessing their love to each other? Why did it take 3 weeks? It's because Steve and Debbie probably live together. And yes, it takes a few weeks to pack your things and move out. Remember when Steve lived with Miranda and after only 2 months, he felt that they were ready for a baby? Look at how integrated Debbie is in Steve's life, and bam, tossed her aside the second Miranda was available and willing. And I really wish this was the end of it. I really do. I wish they lived happily ever after, and now that they're finally together and they have a family, Steve's old ways of punishing Miranda when he didn't get what he wanted is now behind us. Except we know that's not the case. In the first movie, Miranda talks to the girls about how it's been a long time since she and Steve have had sex, about 6 months. The girls are shocked and silent. He kept trying to make it last longer. And this is bad. It is when you have a full-time job. I have a full-time job. Well, you don't also have a 5-year-old, play dates, PTA meetings, and a mother-in-law in a rest home with advancing Alzheimer's. And this is the final nail in the coffin for me. Miranda and Steve are married. They have Scout, Fatty, they have Brady, they have a house. Yes, they have Magda to help out with Brady, but Magda isn't helping out at the rest home for Steve's mother and her advancing Alzheimer's. Long-term residential care for someone with advancing Alzheimer's isn't just a drop-off system and then you just forget about them. Miranda takes healthcare concerns very seriously. We saw this when Steve was dealing with testicular cancer. It's no big deal, the doctors just gotta get in there and stip one of those guys out, and that's it, I'm done. Good, so then it's stage 1, right? Yeah, I guess so. You guess so? You don't know? Sure, yeah, stage 1, you have the operation. No, stage 1, the cancer hasn't spread to the lymph nodes, has it? Your doctor gave you an ultrasound, right? A CAT scan? Who the hell is this doctor? Miranda, it's no big deal, I have a doctor. Will you stop saying that? It's a big deal. The longer we talk about this, the quicker that cancer will spread and you will die. It's a big fucking deal. Do we really think Miranda is the type of person to just have Steve's mom dropped off at a long-term care home and then never check up on her to make sure she's getting the care she needs? Follow-up doctor's appointments, med changes, mobility care, personal care like grooming and personal hygiene, etc. And as she said, the Alzheimer's is advancing. So every time she goes to check up on Steve's mom, there's a new conversation with the doctors. New decisions have to be made. Medications need to be changed. It's all very stressful, and this is on top of taking care of a 5-year-old, attending PTA meetings and trying to be active in Brady's life, organizing social events for him like birthday parties and all of that, and then what, working 50 to 60 hours a week? Which brings up a great question. Why isn't it Steve that's visiting his mom and taking this off of Miranda's plate? I'm iffy about this one, actually. I can understand why the family member would struggle with bossing the doctors and nurses around and making sure they're doing their job and checking in, whereas Miranda isn't as connected, and she's pretty good at doing this, as we saw with Steve's testicular cancer. But it just adds all of this onto Miranda's plate. And then, he cheats on her. And what does he immediately say to her? While I run over to see your mother tomorrow, maybe you could take Brady by the first birthday party alone, and then I'll meet you at the twins party, and you can leave and be at the bar by 6. What's the matter? I had sex with someone else, and you're so amazing, and I don't know how I could do that to you. You and I hadn't had sex in a really long time, and here we are. So he wasn't getting what he wanted, and an explosive event happened. I'd rather he throw another basketball across this Brooklyn house. How can he look her in the eyes and say that the reason is because they hadn't had sex in a long time? And he can literally hear her list off her schedule, which includes taking care of his mother and their child. This is the childish, immature, manipulative person that I see. He confesses his mistake to Miranda and then immediately throws the blame on her. We hadn't had sex in a really long time. That's it. That's the reason. It's not like he fell in love with someone else. He's not thinking about divorcing her or anything like that. That's the reason. Miranda's exhaustion is no secret, by the way. She has communicated that she is exhausted. She is at a breaking point. We can't let the hardworking nanny finish her supper. I'm sorry, I'm exhausted. Brady woke me up at 5 a.m. Then later, let's just get it over with. I mean, we gotta get up in 4.5 hours. And this is coming from someone that's been up since 5 a.m. and worked a whole, 12-hour shift at the law firm, commuted back and forth from Brooklyn to Manhattan. then had dinner out at a restaurant with the family. What is it, like 2 a.m. right now? She's been awake for almost 24 hours right here. There's too much on her plate. She's drowning. She is communicating. All of this, none of this is a secret. One could argue, well, Miranda has always worked this much. She's always had crazy hours, but she hasn't always had Brady. And yes, Brady is 5 years old, so the 2 a.m. feeding sessions are done and over with. But now Steve's mom is in the picture, and now she's commuting from Brooklyn to Manhattan. To see Miranda sacrifice and sacrifice and sacrifice and then be so betrayed, and the reasoning for the betrayal is just entirely blamed on her, is absolutely ridiculous. Steve works at the bar, and yes, it's the night shift, starting around 6 p.m., probably going until 2 a.m., 3 a.m., which is a full 8 to 9 hour shift. Why isn't Steve helping out more with Brady, or with his mom, or the PTA meetings? If Miranda is constantly communicating how exhausted she is, why isn't he pitching in more? She's alone and drowning, and there's no help for her, except for Magda, who is very helpful, but she is hired help, and she can't help with everything. The father could stand to do a little bit more. How is it that he was even able to cheat, by the way? It didn't mean anything. It just happened once and has been killing me. So this is probably some random lady that he met at the bar. There's no way he brought her back to their Brooklyn house because obviously Miranda is sleeping in their bed. Even if she wasn't home for whatever reason, there is no way he would risk bringing a random lady around Brady, who is old enough to say something. So he probably went over to her apartment, slept with her, and then came home and just said something like, "Oh, the bar was super busy tonight, got out late." Oh, so we have time to stay after work an extra hour or two and cheat, but not enough time to help out with Brady more or go visit the mother in the Alzheimer's home? No way. To take the words out of Miranda's mouth, it isn't even just the cheating part, it's the absolute audacity to pin the blame on the exhausted mother of your child who is taking care of your mother. It's the absolute audacity to try and make it seem like it's a 50-50 problem, and they both had an equal role in the betrayal. It's true that we could, maybe, argue that Miranda had a hand in their intimacy completely dissolving, and Steve felt unloved and all of that, but it would never be 50-50 like Steve implied or insinuated in their marriage counseling. I don't know that I can trust that it won't happen again. Miranda, I know I made it hard for you to trust me, but you made it hard for me to trust you. The way you treated me and cut me out of your life like that, yeah, I broke a vow, but what about the other vows? Like promising to love each other for better or for worse. So there's an acronym, DARVO, which is a reaction that perpetrators of wrongdoing may display in response to being held accountable for their behavior. Quote, research indicates that it is a common manipulation strategy of psychological abusers. Source, perpetrator responses to victim confrontation, DARVO, and victim self-blame. Sarah Harsey, 2016. DARVO stands for Deny, Attack, Reverse Victim, and Offender. There are steps to this tactic. First, the perpetrator denies the harm or abuse ever took place. Second, when confronted with evidence, the perpetrator then attacks the person that they had harmed or are still harming. Third, the perpetrator claims that they were or are actually the victim in the situation, thus reversing the positions of victim and offender. It often involves not just playing the victim, but also victim blaming. Now, Steve never denies that he cheated. He never does that once. But those other two steps, boy howdy. Miranda confronts him about his cheating and betrayal of trust in therapy. He attacks Miranda by saying that she also broke vows, that she was cruel and unkind and cut him out, that he was isolated and thrown off to the side. But we all saw how Miranda treated him after she found out, though. It's not like she threw all of his things out onto the street. She never said anything nasty to him in front of Brady. She didn't isolate him from Brady or anything like that at all. She was cold, maybe, but professional and mature. That's pretty amazing, all things considered. Was Steve good for Miranda? Absolutely not. Anytime I hear positive things about Steve, it's about how he was able to help Miranda open up, help her be vulnerable, help her show love. We saw it the most in the final episode of the series when she lovingly bathes Steve's mother and Magda says, "You love." to her. But at what cost? Was the betrayal worth it? Absolutely not. I think Miranda could have found a way to love herself and give herself that safe space to be vulnerable all by herself, and eventually found someone else she could trust and open up to. It didn't have to be Steve. TV shows like this help reinforce this idea that if one of the characters doesn't end up with someone else, they'll end up, gasp, single, and apparently that's a fate worse than death, a fate worse than being married to Steve. And there's other options out there. The option to love yourself and be single is always there, and so is the option to pick someone else. Now, is Steve a bad, horrible, evil person? No, he's a flawed human being. I actually find him hilarious. I think he's great with Brady, and he does have a lot of good traits. But this video is about whether or not Steve was good for Miranda. Speaking of traits, let's go back to that pro and con list that Miranda wrote when she was deciding if she should reunite with him and continue their marriage or not. The list is only shown on the screen for a solid 5 seconds, but I went ahead and transcribed it for y'all. In the pro list, we have good father, sweet, good at listening, willing to work, kind to mother, cares about home, carpenter, plumber, doesn't care if I cook. Miranda has never criticizes me scratched out, so she changed her mind about that one. Good lover, not threatened by my job, funny, remembers birthdays, doesn't take things personally, and cute. Now in the con list, we have affair, wow, that's the first one, sneaky, I think that's linked to the whole affair thing, selfish, doesn't read enough books, uncomfortable at work functions, breath, occasionally, dependent, nose hair. Miranda has watches cartoons crossed out, so she changed her mind about that one as well. Had sex with someone else, this is the third time she's mentioned the affair. Not driven, says embarrassing things, silly, doesn't think about, and then the scene cuts out and it's impossible to see the rest. In the end, Miranda meets Steve on the Brooklyn Bridge, with Carrie's narration telling us, it suddenly dawned on Miranda that Steve's list might have had more cons than pros. And here we see the final culmination of what Steve has done to Miranda. The thought of, well, I'm a pretty difficult person to be with, I have more cons than pros, I should just be lucky to be with someone, is a pretty insane thought process to have while working on rectifying the betrayal and loss of trust between two spouses. It just doesn't seem like a healthy mentality to me. Was Steve good for Miranda? Absolutely not. But hey, that's just me. What do you think? Should it have been Dr. Robert, or should she have just been single at the end of the series and be a working mother living in her comfortable Manhattan apartment? Let me know in the comments, and if you have a suggestion for the next video, feel free to leave that in the comments as well. Thanks for watching, see y'all next time.